I do.
Ta-da! All right. So today's training is a little bit briefer. I want y'all to be prepared because I do want to call on Britta, maybe Glenn and Sharon and Cecily, whoever can answer, Kimberly. I'd like to hear about last week's call and what you took away. I heard there was some really good round robin around bookings and what's available or what to do. And what I want to hear is what you took away from it. And then also, how were you able to apply it this last week? Just to kind of be sharing, just so that we know that we're taking away the content and we're actually applying it. And
I don't know. Yeah, and like basically that was another way of like, hey, what happened last week?
Hey guys, how did our call go last week? And so, because today today might be a little bit of a briefer call, but we do want to talk a little bit about. Hi, Kim. Kim's dying. Can you guys all tell we're a little still on vacation mode? We're just
I'm like so ready to go back to work and like do things. Jeremy doesn't.
I don't want to come home.
Tables have turned. But hey, what happened? Who would like to get up from you? Just tell us what happened. What did you guys learn? I heard it was a lot about reschedulings or booking dinners or something like that.
Go ahead, Britta and Kim.
I feel like I talked a lot, but I had a question about like reaching out to people when I get referrals, especially if they don't respond. And I got a lot of good feedback, and we had a lot of good conversations around how to reach out to people. And I think it was Cecily with the Y. She was like, I just keep texting people. And gosh, I hope I got that right. I think that's who it was. But that was really encouraging to me. And I was like, aren't I bugging people? And they're like, no.
So one thing that we wanted to bring up today about that in the call, and that's great that you just said that, Jade. Kim, we're going to read you in just a second, is, or Britta, sorry, not Jade, Britta, was about when you're at the dinner, and when you're at the dinner, Britta, and you're there and the client, and they say, oh, I have a yes. Oh, my friend Susan said yes. The best thing to do right then is to say, hey, can you put me and Susan in a three-way text message? That does a lot of good benefits. One, it gets the client involved. Number two, it keeps the host originally involved. It is a little more to track, especially if they text you just privately as opposed to out of the group. But that is a really great way for them to be in response. So that's something that really, really helps. Also about the, I did it the other day where I had a client and the dinner held up and we ended up selling right before I left, but they weren't responding to my text. And so all I did is hey, I'm looking forward to cooking for you, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end in capital letters, I put, please respond. That's all I wrote. Please respond at the very end of it. And then they responded. I got that from a lady who works with a lot of boys. And she's like, if you write, please respond, they will. It's, oh, you need a response. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's really great. Kim, what did you take away from last week?
Well, you took what we were talking about, what I was going to say, because we were talking about how to put everyone in a three-way and just to be responsible like that, or like how, to put in a three-way. But we talked about pivoting and then how in different areas, different things do better. And we kind of brainstormed on what ways to reach the clients in our area. And then it was interesting too, because I cooked 3 different dinners with, 3 different people, like awesome, all Caleb and Debbie and James. I got to watch them, and then I got to watch Maddie cook. And it was really interesting. And I learned to slow down. Like, that's one thing that I noticed that all of them do. They really I think Caleb really took the time on the,
lifestyle.
The questionnaire. Yep, a lot of time. And I feel like he had pretty much sold on that questionnaire, So that's what I took about it. And also really working on the referrals. We talked about how sometimes just the referrals, is there a better time to do referrals? Because when you have the referrals and you say, okay, everyone, we're looking for champs, and here we go. And hey, don't be worried, don't be afraid, don't be nervous. Just be sure you don't feel free to talk about who would love this, and don't text. It's not rude, that kind of stuff. But I noticed that at some people's dinners, they just don't, and so we were kind of talking about, is there a better time to move that? Or is it, just to bring it up constantly, just bring it up here and then bring it up. You're like, oh, did I tell you how you could earn this for free? Let me tell you, and so that's what I kind of learned, but I was not
Yeah.
able to apply much of that this week because I've been
You're watching.
units, but
No, and
yeah.
that's very good, Kim. Kim, that's very good.
Thanks,
It is.
thanks.
The reason we bring it up at front as opposed to later on in the dinner is that we used to bring it up at the very end right before they ate. The problem with that is that by the time they're eating, it's say it's 7:30, that's when everybody else is eating dinner and then they're getting ready for kids for bed. So they don't tend to respond to text messages that late. That's why we try to get it out there as soon as we get there, because then it gives them time to deal with their life and then respond before we leave. And you're right, Kim, some clients don't text. They just like, nope, they don't write down names. They're going to do it later. They don't want to do it. And sometimes that happens. One of the questions that I find that's really good is I'll bring it up, and then I'll wait. And then I'll wait a little bit through the dinner, maybe towards the end of cooking. And then I'll say, hey, question for you, Kim. Who's one family you thought of that would really appreciate this? And I just have them say it. Well, who's one family you've thought of that would appreciate this? And all of a sudden they go, oh, one family, because you can do one family, right? You can do one. And so when you say, who's one family you thought, oh, the Smiths would probably really like this. And that's usually all it takes. It just needs to break the seal, right? They just need to get the floodgates opened a little bit and the rest will happen. Also, and all I say is then, oh, Kim, yeah, that would be a great name to write down. And then I just move on. They may write it down and they may not. It just depends on their timidity level and sense of safety. And so that's how I do it. Hey, who's one family off? That'd be a great family to write. I'll go like this. That'd be a great family to write down. And then all of a sudden a lot of times they'll just grab their pen and they'll make a list and then they will actually start writing right then. And that's when I get quiet and I just let them write while I continue to cook food. So good job.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that too. Thanks for that tip.
Now, those would be my little tips, my little things.
This one's a little bit different, so Jared, don't listen. I love doing group dinners. I think some people are doing group dinners. If you're not doing group dinners, then don't do this yet. It's like a beast. It's like when Caleb's cooking for 12. But I like cooking. I like to do that stuff. So I usually, instead of asking who do you know or something like that, I say, do you have a lot of family here? And they'll usually say yes or no, because I found with family, they don't mind doing a group dinner together. Like it's something fun for them to do that they don't get to. But I'll say like, oh, do you guys have family here? And they'll say, oh yeah, my mom, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love meeting families. It's so fun to get to see everybody. And I was like, have you wanted to have a group dinner? I could do that. You'll also learn how to use your cookware again. I get to come back when you guys buy your set. So I'm kind of reminding them they're going to buy it. And so so you get the cookware and then I deliver it. And then I make 3 to 4 different dishes. I look so dark.
He's so dark. And
so dark.
See him, he's like black.
And I say, yeah, that'd be great because I'll deliver the cookware. So today you got about like 5 dishes. And then when I deliver it, we'll do 2 to 3 dishes. And then when I'll come cook again, we get to answer all the questions that you do have. And then you get to come to a cooking class. So within like a month, you got 4 touches with me. And so they usually get really excited about having group dinners. I'll be like, and if you guys have any other friends that you would want us to go cook for, just write their names down. So, and that's why I like doing group dinners, because I can sell 2 sets.
Sometimes. Thanks. Yeah, that's that difference. If they're not writing down names, that's a good pivot. That's a really, really, really good pivot. That's good. There's something else we were going to mention to them.
Booking dinners, the 3-way chat, group dinners.
The only thing I'm thinking of, guys, that I would really appreciate from everybody is this week, Derek and I are back. And usually what happens when we come back from vacation is we usually hit the ground running pretty hard. It doesn't look like I'm going to have to cook tomorrow, which is good to have one day back before the craziness begins. I don't know if you ever experienced that before. But we're going to hit the ground hard and we'll be running really hard. We want to be with you guys. We want to be writing on dinners. Obviously, we've got some trade shows coming up. I know James and Debbie have been working on the Stansbury Days and Lake Stansbury Days, and we have the Honey Festival coming up in August, September. Right now is a really good time to start looking at those events towards the end of July, but really August and September. Back to school events are really, really great ones. I know Glenn's been saying there's a gap between now and Pioneer Days, which I do want to give it up. This would be a Maddie thing, but give it up for Pierce. Yeah, Pierce for booking up there. He actually got in the Pioneer Days up in Ogden, so he's scheduled for that. But I'd encourage you, Britta, look around for things in your name. Abby, be looking, Jade, look for trade shows and events in your area. Now is the best time to start getting overbooking, right? Because we can always call those leads back later. We can always book them later if we ever get in a hard spot. Hi, Winnie. And so I really want to encourage you to be looking around at that. And inside of that, I'd like to know what your calendar is between the rest of this week and then all of next week. What do you have? I'd like to know two things from everybody. What do you have booked? And how many more dinners would you like cooked? Okay, because we do have some stuff coming up that we can start helping maybe fill some spots or have some polls or some ride-alongs. So if you can, the WhatsApp, everybody, if you could text all of us your calendar for this week and next, and then how many more dinners would you like to cook or what days would you like to fill? Just go ahead and send that in the text message and we'll translate it from there.
Want to do the cancellation thing?
Oh, do you guys want to hear about cancellations? You guys who did we have that canceled this way? Oh,
Cecily.
Cecily and Caleb had cancellations. Okay, everybody listen. This is really important. I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me, and it's a true story, and it really helps with cancellations. Sharon could probably tell the story. And so this story helps with cancellations. We got away from it because we weren't having any. Well, now they're kind of coming back a little bit, so we kind of got to revisit this. What happens during a cancellation, if everybody can see my screen, what happens is when you walk into the home emotionally, they're down here. And then you warm them up during the lifestyle questionnaire. Then you go through, oh, it's so dark. And then you go through all the sales process, right? You emotionally get them higher, and then they buy. And if you leave them up here, so there's a two-step process. One, if you leave them up here and you leave, they're emotionally going to crash when you leave. There's this vacuum of emotions. They're going to feel buyer's remorse. They're going to feel sad because you're not there. They're going to have emotions, and they cancel. Okay, so I'm going to give you two things about this. Number one, with cancellations is easing them down. It's called easing them down. So what that means is that after the sale, remember, we should not be packed up. You should definitely not be having your cookware packed up until the transaction is either complete or they've said they're not interested. It shouldn't be in bags, shouldn't be in your suitcase, staged in one area is perfect. And so what because I want that time to calm them down, right? Oh yeah, let's get it. Yeah, we got the big family set, put it on my card. Oh yeah, let's do it. I get all the points. I'm so excited. And then all of a sudden we start talking about going to the lake, going to the beach. What other summer plans do they have? Oh my gosh, what are you going to cook first? When are you coming to the next class? You know, what is your kid's favorite dish that you're going to make in a week? Easing them down, where you calm them down emotionally. Your voice is going to slow down. Your body language will start to slow down. And that's really going to help emotionally calm them down. That's number one. Second thing is to set their expectations. So ease them down. Number two is set their expectations. And what that is that they're going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to say, holy cannoli, I just spent $6,000 on cookware. What did we do? Was that a right decision? Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. So you want to set their expectations that is probably going to happen. Okay. And it'll happen to about 25% of the people. So we want to prepare for that. So as I'm leaving the home, I always share this one story. And that is usually right before I'm about to walk out the door, we're like, Britta, can I share a story with you before I go? Sure, she says. And I say, great. So it was about my third client in Denver. Now you could say we had a client in Denver, but it was about my third client in Denver. She was a real estate agent. We got all the way done and she hemmed and hawed and okay, fine, we'll just buy a personal set. And I was like, you don't have to buy anything. She's like, no, let's do it. And I said, okay. And so about 2 weeks later, I was at their house and I'm delivering their set. They shipped in finally and I'm delivering it. And so the lady looks at me and she says, so the day after you left, we had a little buyer's remorse. I was like, okay, tell me about that. What happened? She goes, well, you left. And the next day I was sitting at the kitchen counter and my husband comes walking in and I looked at him and said, you know, honey, did we make a wise financial decision for the family? I mean, that was a lot of money we spent last night. And he said, you know what, baby? I thought about that all night too. Let's talk about it over breakfast. Would you like me to make your breakfast on stainless steel or Teflon? And she was like, all right, fine. When are they going to be here? Now, the reason I say that story is for a couple of reasons. Number one, when they wake up and they're like, what did we do? Their mind is immediately going to go to, oh my gosh, what are we going to cook on, right? I want their brain to be pre-directed to where to go. So when they think about canceling, they think about what am I going to cook? The other key phrase that I make in there is the word wise financial decision for the family. I encourage you to write that down if that is something you don't normally say in your dinners. Wise financial decision for the family. Why we say that is because inside of the LDS culture, inside of their training, they're taught to not make frivolous decisions, frivolous purchases. You wouldn't go buy a brand new, if your family's living in an apartment, it would be a frivolous decision to go buy a brand new, $300,000 boat, right? That'd be frivolous. But to buy something for the family, a family investment. So they're not, in their culture, they're not allowed to, they're not encouraged, they're discouraged from financing things except for things that do with the family. Car, house, college, that's about it. And so when you say this is for the family, also they're like, wow. So I'll say the story again so you guys can hear it. I encourage you to take little notes as we do this, as you may want to repeat. I encourage you to repeat this. So we had a client and it was our client. They took forever to buy and they're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, fine, we'll do this set. And they got it. And so we're like, okay. And so about 2 weeks later, we were delivering their set. As we're unpacking it, the lady looked at the husband. She goes, so we had a little buyer's remorse. And we said, well, tell me a little bit about that. How did that work out? She goes, well, I was sitting at the kitchen counter the next morning. My husband came walking in for breakfast and I looked at him and said, honey, did we make a wise financial decision for the family? That was a lot of money we spent last night. And he goes, baby, I thought about that. I thought about that all night too. Let's talk about it over breakfast. Would you like me to make your breakfast on Teflon or stainless steel? Right? All right, fine. When's that set going to be here? Right? And everybody will usually laugh. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, I know. So if you experience that, it's totally normal. But let me tell you this, after you've had it about 2 weeks, 2 months, you're going to be cooking with this and just be like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. It's so much faster. I actually enjoy cooking now. My kids are eating vegetables. Oh my gosh, I'm glad this is non-toxic and not leaching crap into my food. I'm so grateful. That's what you're going to experience. All right. All right. Well, hey, have a good night. I'll see you later. Bye, guys. And that's literally our ending. It makes a major, major, major difference. So ease them down and tell the story. And then you end up with one of these. I'm just kidding. Can you say hi? All right.
No.
Kim, you got a question on that? You're muted, boo. Kim, you're muted.
I thought I unmuted. Sorry. Okay, so you know how you cook like for a family and then like they'll invite some more people over, so you cook for them again? Do you do the exact same story and the exact same dinner every time? So like even if you cooked for someone and they've invited the same people over, they're going to hear the same stories and the same story and that story at the end as well.
Every single time. And the reason that I'm going to do that is for a couple of reasons. Now I may make mashed potatoes, or I may the food may change, may make a cake. But yeah, same dinner, same stories. And I do it for a couple of different reasons. One of the main ones is because people learn by reputation. We've heard repetition. We've heard this 100 times. This is only their second time, so they get it in. Number two, if they're interested in coming on and they're interested in joining the team, I want them to hear the exact same presentation again, because then they can say, oh, shoot, you just said the same thing you said last time. And you go, yeah, it's written right here on the back of the flip chart. Just read it. And then they say, oh, I can do that. I can do this. That's why we do the same thing that way. Also, when you have a new recruit writing along, or you're writing on somebody else's dinner, it's the same presentation so that there's that consistency. Yeah, anytime you try ad-libbing and stuff like that, guys, I've been trying to get the dinner down from 3 hours to 30 minutes for 13 years now, and I never can. So don't ad-lib, and usually doesn't work. So no, same presentation, same thing every single time. And I'll say the same story. And I may even at the beginning, I'll grab my suitcase and be like, oh, hey, so Kim, you already heard the story, but you know what? I think Raymer needs to hear it this time. So let me go and show the story. Can I tell you a quick story, Raymer? Sure. And then I'm going to do the story. Oh my gosh, it was about our Denver, right? And they got their set, that'll go through it. Okay. All right. Any other things? Any other questions for us, guys?
I have a little share about the end of night story after somebody has chosen to invest in a set.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing really good when I first started, and it was pretty consistent. But the more I cooked and the more I got used to the cookware and the more I loved it, that story became so important for me, because I loved the cookware so much that I would go in and I would get everybody so excited that they would buy. And then I was having a bunch of cancellations. And Jeremy shared that story with me because I was getting them so excited off of my energy and my excitement about the cookware of how much I loved it, that they just wanted it in the moment. And then, like you said, total crash the next day if you don't bring them back down. So that story, I started putting that in, and it felt weird at first repeating that story because it wasn't mine, but Glenn was making a face. But it really did make a difference for people to be able to come down off of my personal excitement about the cookware and be able to see what they were doing for their own families.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Any questions on that? Comments, concerns, thoughts, considerations? Anybody? All right, everyone. Well, if you could, with that being said, if you could all post on the WhatsApp about your like what dinners do you have coming up for the rest of this week and next week, and then and how many more would you like to have on there? If you have requested days, maybe we can fill those for the team. But if you could let us all know that, that'd be great. And we appreciate you guys. Derek's excited to come home, and yeah.
Just Derek.
I'm really excited to
wanna
go
come home
home.
to us?
Well, not excited. I just want to go cook with everybody again.
Let's stop the recording. All right. Yeah.